Alright, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the rerun banner here, which is going to be the Fukuaru speed card and the Rush Hour power card alongside Mejiro Palmer, which is going to be a very specialized runaway horse for the medium and long CM. For Palmer, she's basically the opposite of Suzuka. Suzuka likes to be on the sprints and miles due to lower stamina consumption, and the fact that she has unrestrained means that she will be able to gamble on these final corner tracks. The shorter the track, the more likely the final corner is at the acceleration area, for example. Right, but the longer the track is worse for her because stamina consumption is high. Well, Palmer tries to fill in that slot. Her unique, well, Palmer's unique, she has a 0.5 recovery, so that helps a lot in terms of making a runaway more viable for these kinds of CMs. Right. Other than that, Palmer also has a lot of very good stat lines, and you can see from the aptitudes that she's really specialized for these kinds of long CMs. Because if you look at her stats, she has 10% speed, 10% stam, 10% guts, and she also has A turf, A medium, A long, and also front A. Everything else is quite horrendous. Yes, the mile is F. So during Make a New Track, where runaway is also disabled, Palmer is just homeless. So if you pull this horse, you can't even use her right now, because you have to go back to Aharu, then you can make a runaway horse, which is very awkward, right? So this is the problem with Palmer as of now, but what Palmer has in her innate kit is very good for what she's trying to do. For her unique, she has 0.5 recovery, but she also gets a 0.25 speed for 6 seconds. As long as you are halfway through the race and you are in the first two positions and you are a runaway, so most likely you are in those two positions, you'll be able to get a mid-leg speed of 0.25 for 6 seconds. Treat it like a Ghost Ship unique, for example. Right? After that, you also have very strong mid-leg skills in your gold skills. You have playtimes over golden version, which has a 30-second cooldown. So for longer CMs, you can potentially even trigger it twice. And then you also can get the Vanguard. Vanguard is going to give you another speed skill if you're first, and guess what, you're runaway, so you're probably first. You also have early lead, which is nice, and also the long shot, which is, is a long shot horse, right? So other than that, she also has runaway green skill, and I believe front runner savvy from one of the events, which means that you can actually complete groundwork with early lead and the runaway green and the front runner savvy green. So that part is also quite nice. But the problem with Palmer is that for these medium and long CMs, right, she's kind of lacking in the acceleration department. If you look at Suzuka, for example, she has unrestrained. So if you just use her for those shorter CMs, especially when her pink skills come, she's going to be actually pretty strong, right? But if you use Palmer for the mediums and longs, she doesn't have any unrestraints. She doesn't have any gambles or any excels at all to try and win from her position. Right? She can mid-leg all the way to the front and then maintain a super high mid-leg all the way to the end, but what excels can she even use for those CMs? That's a very big problem, right? Because mediums and longs are usually backliner focused, right? A lot of these longer mediums and longs, they have a long straight line at the end usually, and that allows the backliners to very easily duel their way back up, right? So that's why Palmer is in a bit of a wonky situation. How am I going to accelerate so fast that I can win when I don't have any innately built accelerations? If you think about it for long, what do long horses have if they are front? They have Ballroom Sky and they have Kitasan Black. Maybe Arima Kinen, they can get Seiyun Sky also. Right, so that's 0.4 XL on Arima and 0.2 XL on every other CM. Right, but what about the horses themselves? Kitasan has 0.3 by default, and then Ballroom has 0.3 by default. Right, and then your Seiyun Sky, the regular version, has 0.4 by default. Right, so all these horses have some way to actually accelerate and secure victories if they are in the front position. But then what about this horse here? Right, this horse has nothing like that. If she inherits, she's weaker than them, and she has no innates to help her win. Right, if you look at a future horse, for example, New Year Katsuragi Ace, which is a medium horse, right, she also has a unique that gives her a recovery, and if you look below, she will have an acceleration. Right, at least she has an innate acceleration that allows her to go and gamble a way to win. Right, this acceleration is notably also quite reliable, so it's also very good for her. Right, so Palmer is going to be one of the more mediocre frontrunners, and you can try to make her work, but certainly it's going to take a humongous Herculean effort to try and make her a strong enough horse to go and win. Right, especially in the front position. So besides that, let's talk about the cards. We also have Fukukitaru Speed. Fukukitaru Speed is going to be a good card for the Make a New Track scenario. The gimmick of this card is that it gives you a lot of initial stat lines. These initial stat lines will help you to go and clear your early races, which helps you to snowball into the mid game and end game, which will let you buy a lot of items. Then you can snowball by clicking all your rainbows with like 60% training hammer, training a megaphone with a training weight, giving you a billion training effectiveness for a humongous amount of stats. Right? You can also farm a crazy amount of skill points from all the races that you're doing as well. Right? So that's what Fuku's advantage is. Right? In addition, Fuku is also not a speed card. She's basically a friendship card. She has no specialty priority, she reduces energy consumption, and she has training effectiveness of 10%. So she's a very solid card during demand scenario and can help to make your runs very consistent. One of the problems of Fuku is that she has zero specialty priority. So even though you are getting that good old snowball extra stats from Fuku, you will find that afterwards, she might not appear on your speed at all. So that's one of the big problems with her, and this will be a problem even later after the Make a New Track scenario. Once we go to Grand Life, the meta shifts tremendously. Race bonus becomes trash. We do not race at all, literally at all. Right? We literally go into Grand Life clicking rainbows non-stop. We literally go back to the Aharu deck where you just stack speed and wit, and you click wit because wit gives you energy, so you can click more rainbows so you can get more tokens. Tokens very important. Then you add Light Hello as the +1 option for your friendship card because you need that card. You mandatorily need that card. We are playing full scenario bullshit from now on. Right, every single scenario we must get a scenario card, and Light Hello will be the first one. And then what happens is that you will use Light Hello alongside all of your other speed plus wit cards, and you just click rainbows non-stop until the game is done. You will almost never race in Grand Life. So that's why Fuku is going to be a bit more awkward, because in Grand Life the meta is specialty priority and initial friendship. Initial friendship is very important. So Kita-san with the initial 30 means that she hits rainbow faster, means that I can hit more rainbow, means I can get more tokens, I can get more song equal more stats. Very simple like that. Right, so Fuku will not be the most optimal, but I have seen people high roll with Fuku in Grand Life, which is very ridiculous, but I have seen it happen, and it's very powerful still. Right, in terms of high scoring horse, getting a very high team trial score, or just getting like a ridiculous rank like UF or higher, like Fukuaru is one of the best when you want to high roll a kind of card, right? So a lot of people will actually still be using her as a high rollers card, but at this point in time, whether I can recommend you as a F2P-ish to go and get this card, hell no. Like, please do not get this card at this point in time. Esmaru is already going to be coming up, and Esmaru can be used for 4 scenarios as a generic speed card for every single position. It's just that it's more favored towards the front runners because it gives you an insane amount of front runner skills, right? So that's why I would highly recommend everyone to rather save up for the Esmaru banner. Then the last one is the Rush Hour power card, which I think doesn't really need that much explanation. Right now in Mant, it only has a race bonus of 5%. It's really quite mediocre for Make a New Track purposes. Its one gimmick is that it gives you Swinging Maestro. So if you do need stamina for some longer CMs, but you don't want stamina, or you just need a little bit of stamina, don't need that many stamina, right? And you also want Maestro, then you can use Rush Hour power. So the upcoming Tokyo 2400, for example, this is a possible card that you can use if you just want to get a bit of power with a little bit extra stam and also get Swinging Maestro. This is one of the possible cards that you can use as a copium extra card, right? But the lack of the race bonus will affect your extra stat lines that you get from racing as well as the skill points, so that could be quite painful for your deck. Right, it's basically a copium card. You don't really want to use it, but if you're very desperate to force your Oshi in there and your Oshi doesn't have any innate recoveries for backliners, then this is one of the possible options that you can use. Other than that, there's almost no other place you want to use this card. In Grand Life, there's also no reason to use this card either. And Grand Life is all about wit. It's literally all about wit. Wit and speed. That's the meta of the Grand Life scenario. So Rush Hour also completely gone. Right, so that's pretty much all of the cards and horses explained here. You are basically going to very easily skip this banner, but for those Palmer enjoyers, I just want you guys to know that your main place of becoming strong is Aharu right now, because currently in Make a New Track you are all disabled for Runaway, and Palmer is 100% like you want her to be Runaway. Otherwise you're going to be missing out on a lot of the value from this horse, because a lot of it requires absolutely first position. Right, and that extra recovery is also very nice for greeding some extra stat points on other things. Right, so yeah, that's pretty much the experience here with Palmer, and that's the understanding for all these cards here. Please highly recommend it to go and skip all these banners and just proceed to the Esmaru banner at this point, or the Agnes Tachyon banner, depending on which position you want to be maining in the future. I once again remind everyone that we really should start maining a specific position by the time we are going to Grand Life and Grandmasters onwards. Alright, because by that point it's going to get real expensive to be switching in and out of every single best position. Right now is the meta for fronts, but later on you will see every single front explode for mediums and longs, because Neo Universe is very insane and Laurel is very insane. Back-to-back banners, followed by a lot of very good medium and lead surger focus cards to go and make these lead surgers very powerful for 1 year. And then after that, it will be Pace Chaser time with Gentle Donna and all the Pace Chaser cards that come out afterwards. Right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Any other questions, feel free to go through the Ko-fi for direct messages. Otherwise, go through Discord. Discord has a lot of smart people who can answer your questions. And you can also go through my YouTube or Twitch live streams and join us on the streams. And there will be plenty of knowledgeable people who can answer your questions in chat, or I'll try my best to answer your questions in chat. Right, so thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.